Good morning, everyone, and welcome to day 3 of Sites Investment and Infrastructure Expo gone virtual. Again, welcome. My name is Jeremy Bennett. I'm the Executive Director of Site, and we welcome you to today's presentations. Normally under normal circumstances, we'd be at the St. Charles Convention Center, getting everybody together, having a room full of exhibitors, great presentations and networking. Unfortunately, with COVID, we are not able to do that this year, but site staff and our programs committee did an excellent job putting together this virtual expo. So thank you again for joining us. Today, we are almost halfway through our whole week-long expo. And if you are the type of contractor that does water, wastewater work, or underground work, today's your day. And we'll get into that in just a little bit. So today, I'd like to thank our presenting sponsor, Fabit Cat. Thank you very much. And a huge thank you goes out to all of our expo sponsors. Without you, we could not do this presentation. So that's Advanced Drainage Systems, ASP Enterprises, Bus and Quarries, Central Power Systems and Services, CMW Equipment, Energy Petroleum and Marketing, Fixed Supply Service, KJ Undersall Construction, MB West Contracting, Pace Construction Company, Pat Kelly Equipment Company, Purple Wave Auction, Roland Machinery Company, Rush Truck Centers of Missouri, Thomas Industrial Coatings, Traymar Contracting, 2 Alpha Contracting, and United Rentals. So thank you again for all of your support throughout our entire expo week. Today we have 2 presentations, one from MSD. They have been here since 2017, the very beginning of the expo. Rich Umberfirth does a great job, and he's got a very packed presentation. So we'll get started with him here real soon. And then also for the second year, we've got the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers with Michael Feldman. This will be his first time presenting the site's membership, so we welcome Michael on board. At any time during the presentations, if you'd like to ask a question, there's a chat feature. So this is a great opportunity to, if you've got a question or if you've got a comment, you can submit those. Also, if you'd like to see our past presentations, you can go to our site, stl.org website, find them there. There's also a QR code on the screen that you take a picture of, and it'll take you right to the presentations. So with that, I'd like to introduce now our presenting sponsor video, Fabit Cat.
In these challenging, uncertain, uncharted times, you stand strong. No matter the conditions you face, you get the job done. You are the backbone of our communities. You are the hardworking men and women that continue to build. We're honored to call you our customers and our employees. We thank you for the work you've done and the work you continue to do. Together, we'll get through this.
Again, thank you to Fabit Cat for presenting sponsorship and a nice video. So at this time, I'd like to welcome into the live stream Rich Umberfirth. Rich is the Director of Engineering at MSD. Rich, you are no stranger to this expo, so thank you again for joining us, and we look forward to looking at your presentation.
Thanks, Jeremy.
All right, we'll jump right into it. Thanks, Rich.
Thank you. Good morning. I hope everyone can see my lead slide here. Welcome everybody to the Site Expo, and welcome to the presentation on our fiscal year 22 capital improvement program. As I do every year, I'm going to give you a look ahead of the projects we have coming up over the next year. The proposed program, construction program, our fiscal year starts in July. So as we move forward here, jam-packed agenda, as Jeremy said. I'm going to give a quick introduction about MSD, although they did have some on the slides coming into the program. I'm going to talk about the overall program summary for fiscal year 22, talk about some of our ongoing work, the procurements we need, talk about some of our small contractor work order repairs. And then I'll give you a quick look ahead of the upcoming years. And then I talk a little bit of how you really want to do business with MSD, our pre-qualification process, opportunities in the small contractor program. We do plan out all of our bids, try to over the course of a year. Where can you find that? Talk a little bit about prevailing wage and diversity, which are requirements working with MSD. I'll talk a little bit about our oversight group, our construction management division, give you a few names there of who's running that for me here at MSD. And then I'm going to take a chance to plug a bond issue election and charter change election we have coming up here in about a month, a little over a month in April, which helps fund our next 4 years of the program. And I'll talk a little bit about that, having time. And we should have time as I get through this for folks to ask questions. Again, use your chat function, and we'll take a look and I'll try to answer those questions. Little quick overview of MSD. Obviously, we're a governmental entity. We're about 520 square miles. We have about 1,300 customers. And believe it or not, we serve 88 municipalities in the St. Louis area. So there's a lot of different entities we have to deal with. We have 7 treatment plants that treat over 350 million gallons of sewage a day that come to our treatment plants. If you add all 3 of those sewers, the sanitary, the combined, and the storm sewers, it's about 9,000 miles of sewer. So a lot of sewers out there to maintain. We're doing a lot of improvements on those sewers, which you're going to see here soon. And then that makes us the 4th largest in the United States as far as sewer district goes. So we're fairly large in what we do, and I think we do a good job at it. Again, we're looking at our fiscal year 22, which starts July 1st. What you're looking at here is a cover sheet of our what we call our budget supplement, which is really our capital program. This is a draft. Right now, you see the word preliminary at the bottom. So there are subject to some change between now and May when we approve our budget with our board. But the numbers are pretty solid. We're going to be pretty close to what we have. I did look this morning, this budget supplement, which has a page for each project that we have, is not on our website yet. I can't tell you exactly when it comes on, but typically it's the 1st of March when we meet with our board and present the budget. We do a budget hearing, and then you'll be able to get real detail on these projects. What I'm giving you today is pretty much a summary of what we got going. So here's what we've got. We've got a total of 148 projects that we're doing this upcoming year for a total of about $357 million worth of work. Our program is pretty much held that line anywhere from 300 to 400 million a year, probably for the last at least 7 or 8 years. I don't anticipate that's going to go down. I think when I do the little look ahead here later, you will see the dollars are going to be there, but we've got some large projects coming up here in the 2020s that will reduce the total number of projects, but still have a number of projects that we're doing. The majority of the work you'll see there in the top in wastewater engineering and construction is on our wastewater side. And we are still doing some stormwater work. We had a little setback in 2019, trying to get a bond issue or trying to get a funding initiative for stormwater district-wide that failed. So we have funding partially across the district for our stormwater program. But after our bond issue election in April, we're planning on going back, talking to folks, trying to figure out what'll get us over the top and get people comfortable with paying for that service. So I'll move on. I'm going to cover a little bit. We have a lot of work going on right now throughout the district. We have probably at any one time over 200 to 250 projects going. Many of our projects are large and complex, and we spread budgeting out for some of those larger projects over multiple years. So what you will see in the fiscal year 22, I'm showing 8 projects up here. These are the large projects that we started this fiscal year, either in 20 or 21, and we've got about $131 million allocated for those projects that are ongoing. I won't go through them, but a couple of larger ones. We've got a new tunnel we're starting, Lower Merrimack Tunnel, which goes up to eliminate our Fenton wastewater treatment plant. And then we also have a Jefferson Barracks tunnel going. One of our largest open cut projects that we've had in a year, which is about 5 miles of large diameter sanitary, is our Deer Creek, or DC 2 and 3, which is right there in the middle of the page. We have 2 contractors working on separate phases of that project right now. So that's a very extensive ongoing program. What you see here, picture, is one of our ongoing projects. And I waited till this slide to show it. If you go down Highway 44 and you speed past my hometown there of Shrewsbury, you look to the old Laclede gas tank sites and you'll see a lot of activity. We've been working at that site for almost 3 years now. We had 2 different contractors use that site. The first one was SAK. They were performing a Deer Creek tunnel, which is a 5-mile, 20-foot diameter tunnel that started at this location. It went all the way up to the other side of the Galleria, just to give you some perspective. That tunnel is holed out. They're actually lining that tunnel now, but they gave up this site earlier in 2020 to our contractor, KCI, who's doing the actual tunnel pump station. So what you see there is where the 3 shafts are for that pump station. So there's quite a few cranes sitting on that site, and that work's ongoing right now. But that whole system is scheduled to come online sometime in calendar year 2022. This is the Deer Creek, a couple pictures from the Deer Creek project that I talked about. As I indicated, we got 2 contractors working this area. This is anywhere from 8-inch to 54-inch diameter sewers. It's typically about 30 feet deep. And if you're familiar with the Deer Creek area, basically the project started out in Maplewood, went through Brentwood, going through the Ladue, will end up in Frontenac. So I apologize for that. I meant to turn my phone off. What you're seeing there is, on the right-hand side, is we get 30 feet deep in the Deer Creek watershed. We run into quite a bit of rock. So imagine we're doing a lot of blasting through a lot of residential areas. So we'll keep working on that project, and that project's scheduled to come online, I think, is in early 2023. And this is kind of really what people want to know, is what other new projects do we have coming up this year. We have 50 new bids coming out this upcoming year, and there's a little bit of a breakdown. But as you can see, the majority of the work we have is actually open cut sewer work. These are sanitary relief projects. I'll give some details here in a minute, kind of as we go through there. But obviously, there's $59 million worth of work on those open cut projects. And then another big dollar amount that we have there is on facilities. We're starting up a new facility at our Lower Merrimack plant, and that is scheduled to start this fiscal year. And that $48 million is just a portion of that funding. We'll start off. I'm going to go through each one of those categories that I listed there before. These are the procurements needed, and the CIPP is cured in place pipe. This is our extensive rehabilitation program that the district started back. We've been lining and rehabilitating pipes as long as I've been here at the district, for at least 30 years. We're very fortunate here at MSD to have 2 of the larger rehabilitation contractors in the country working right here in our backyard. That's beneficial to us because we are doing a lot. We've been typically, for the last 10 years, been doing anywhere from $70 to $100 million worth of pipelining a year. Doing that for two reasons: to rehabilitate our system that we have out there, the 900 miles I talked about, but also to eliminate inflow and infiltration into our system, which is our primary driver, is to tighten up our sanitary system and reduce overflows. So we have 8 new projects coming up this next fiscal year for a total of about 24 million. That is down, but we've purposely gone that way. We've spent the last 4 or 5 years really front loading that type work, and it's really been successful, allowing us to reduce the inflow to our system, and has allowed us to eliminate some of the projects that we originally had planned for our program. These are the 2 facility projects that were on that list that we saw earlier. And again, the big one is the Lower Merrimack Wastewater Treatment Plant. I talked a little earlier about a new tunnel, a Lower Merrimack tunnel that was built, that was bid this year, that'll bring the flows from our Fenton Wastewater Treatment Plant down to the Lower Merrimack plant. In order to accept those flows at that plant, obviously we've got to expand the plant for the increased flow. So we've got the projects timed to where once we complete the tunnel and take the Fenton treatment plant offline, then our plant at Lower Merrimack will be able to take those flows. We're looking about adding another 10 million gallons a day to our Lower Merrimack plant. And also that plant is about 30, get close to 20 plus years old. We're taking the opportunity to do some upgrades to that plant as part of the work ourselves. So that job will be bid later this fiscal year. And obviously the construction is going to span over several years. The total cost on that, by the way, I already switched slides, is about 107 million for that wastewater treatment plant project. So the 48 million is just the first part of the funding for that project. The next one is the district has over 270 pump stations out there that push flow around, in addition to the 900 miles of gravity sewer we have out there. So a lot of our flow, obviously, in the hilly terrains is being pushed around, and even in the floodplain areas is being pushed to our treatment plants through the use of pump stations and force mains. When you have that many pump stations out there, a lot of them have existed for the 60 years that the district has existed. We're doing a lot of operations and maintenance to those stations, which includes major rehabilitation and replacement of these stations. So this upcoming fiscal year, we have 5 of these type projects. And I think you can expect to see continuous anywhere from 5 to 10 projects similar to this as we move forward throughout the years, just to keep those up and running. 5 of those projects totaling $10 million. 2 of these are full, complete replacements of pump stations, and 3 of them are doing major renovations to the plants. The Cox Creek Pump Station A, which is located, the top line there, is located out in Chesterfield Valley. We're upgrading that pump station. Obviously, there's been a lot of development in that area. We've also had a number of projects to replace that force main in the Missouri River Valley. That's been ongoing for at least 10 years. We just bid the last part of that project just this past year. Thank you. Next is, this is the biggie. I talked about it earlier. The next 4 slides list 29 new sewer projects that the district is going to be performing over the next year, or putting out to bid to allow you. So, excuse me, I'm going to try to get to my notes here. Got a few extra items on this. Again, there's 29 projects listed here. We're actually going to be replacing close to 60,000 feet of new sanitary sewers. And typically that's a replacement of existing or even providing new sewers. So these projects, again, in the size of the pipes are anywhere from 12-inch all the way up to 108-inch. The top project there, the Harlem Baden project, is a large multi-phased. We've been building on that. That's probably a 10-year project. And actually, it's a project that we're working with the Corps of Engineers. Mike Feldman's going to follow me. The Corps has actually built some of that work for us. It provides funding for us. It allows us to reduce our funding required by our ratepayers to build this large combined sewer relief project. And on these next 4 pages, I've kind of highlighted one of the projects just to give a little more information on. Right there in the middle is Warson Woods Sanitary Relief. It's about almost 2 miles of sanitary sewer, and it's correctly named. It basically goes right through the heart of Warson Woods. If you've been into Warson Woods, right off of Manchester, it goes right down their main street. So it's a very complicated job. It's a multi-year job. So at the $5 million is just the start of the construction. But as you can see, the purpose of that job is to eliminate 3 sanitary sewer overflows that really overflow right to the main channel that goes down through the heart of Warson Woods. It's a residential area. The creek where these overflows is right adjacent to their park and their swim club. So it's really important for us, for the environment, to get those overflows out and clean up the environment in the Warson Woods area. So that's just one of the projects on this sheet. Next sheet, again, 5 more projects that we have. I'll just highlight the one. It's a sub-trunk number 2. This is a South County project, constructing about 4,400 feet of 18 to 21 inch. Again, it's eliminating 3 overflows to our program. The district consent decree, when we started the consent decree back in 2012, the district had over 300 overflows that we needed to eliminate. The consent decree requires us to get down to 30 by the end of 2023. So a lot of the work we've been doing over the past 10 years. And I'm happy to say we're down to about right around 80 right now. And a lot of the work that you're seeing now will get us down to that 30 by 2023, meeting all of our requirements. But another thing about this is a lot of this is in South County. A lot of the sewers in the county, when they built and the area was developed, they put in a lot of 8-inch and 10-inch sewer lines that basically took care of the need at the time. Through development and other things, is these no longer have the capacity to handle the flow. So you'll see a lot of the sewers that were 8 and 10 inch were increasing to 18, 21, 24, and getting that flow to our plants. So the first part of our program, we did a lot of work at our plants to allow this flow to come, and here we're right now we're sending that flow to the plants. Another project. This Canterbury and Roland is actually in the Northwoods and North County area. Again, a lot of residential area, eliminating 2 overflows in the system. I kind of picked this one out because if you think about where our sewers are located, a lot of them are located in the streets, but then a lot of them are located behind homes, near creeks, near stormwater sewers. This particular one, obviously, we've got adjacent to an existing rock line channel. So a lot of our wastewater jobs do have some storm component to it, our bank protection or bank stabilization to restore that creek as we work. The Deer Creek project, which I talked about earlier, is in and out of Deer Creek, has multiple crossings. So there's a lot of that type of work that's part of that project. And then the last one, this one here I highlighted because I did talk a little bit about the wastewater program, but we still are doing stormwater work. Of this program, of these 29 projects, we are replacing about 5,000, almost a mile of storm sewer as well. So we are doing some projects. This is one of the larger storm projects we have going. It's in the Lemay, South County area, and we're replacing about 1,000 feet of 12 to 24 inch diameter storm. Actually, it's probably new construction. A lot of the Lemay area does not have storm sewers, and so we're building storm sewers in order to provide service for that area. So again, this really concludes the bulk of the the sewer work that we're performing over this next year. I think you'll see this type of work. We've been doing this type of work for the last few years, for a couple more years. And I'll give you a little quick look ahead. Then a lot of our projects become larger and more extensive and costly. So we'll see less of the number of projects, but still keep the dollars up there. PIR, you probably wonder, what does PIR mean? It's private inflow removal. I mentioned building new sewers and increasing capacity of our sewer system. In addition to that, we have stormwater that enters our system either through the sewers themselves, is why we do a lot of our rehabilitation of our sewers. But we also have just direct connections. We have areas that, specifically have storm sewers that maybe weren't supposed to be connected to the sanitary sewer, or there's an area where the homes were built that have connections to the sanitary system. In other words, our entire city is a combined sewer system where the storm and the sanitary go together. But then when development happened, they went out to the county and the near county and the Shrewsbury, Webster Groves, Brentwood area, and they built the same homes and connected that right to the sanitary. Well, the sanitaries weren't really equipped to handle the stormwater. So now we're going back and we're going property to property to try to eliminate that. These 3 PIR projects total about $1.7 million. And we're actually going individually onto over 200 projects, 200 individual homes to remove connections. It can be anywhere from a downspout to the sewer vent in the front yard, or even have a storm sewer that there's a low spot in the backyard and somebody built a storm sewer and said, oh, here's a manhole, I'll connect to it. We've got to get that off. That's one of our main components that drives those overflows that we're trying to get rid of. In a lot of cases during a rain event, it ends up in people's basements. And that's what we're trying to avoid by doing this type of work. Again, three projects in this type area. Again, some stormwater work. I talked about the mile of storm sewer we're building. We're doing actual creek work too. Our 3 biggest issues with stormwater our 2 big issues with stormwater is flooding and erosion. If people live next to a creek, these creeks are getting more flow these days. So they start meandering and getting close to structures, homes, taking people's yards with them. In a lot of cases, they're taking our sewers with them. But we do have 3 projects coming up in this area over the next year. A lot of these construction used to be, we would pave the channels, build concrete channels, or put in large diameter storm sewers. This work has gone more green. So the bulk of the work is using biostabilization or green technology, along with hard armor where we need it, where we don't necessarily have the room to put in. So we have 3 of those projects that we're bidding over this next year, and these have turned out real well for us over the past few years. Work order repairs. This is another portion of our program outside of the projects that I've been covering here for the first few pages. The district sets aside a total of $16 million, and it's ranged anywhere from 10 million to 20 million over the past 10 years. Again, we have 900 miles of sewer out there to keep repairs and maintain. And so we have a lot of projects that we do. So we have 3 separate portions of dollars that we set aside to do this type of work. One is for the sewers themselves. We set about $7 million for work at sewers. We also set aside about $3 million for work at our plants. Imagine at our plants, we've got a lot of mechanical, electrical, concrete, things like that just need annual upgrades and repairs at those plants. So these are small projects that aren't specifically listed in the capital program, but we do bid throughout the year. So that number of 50 that I showed you earlier of bids really will end up closer to 100 to 110 with the addition of projects that we do with this type of work. And then recently in 2016, we were able to get funding for the operation and maintenance of our storm system. So we've, again, got a lot of storm sewers out there that have never been maintained. So we've set about $6 million aside to do that work. What it really amounts to, looking at the top line there, the construction and repair, and I'll talk a little bit about what I call our small contractor program. We bid out close to 400 projects a year that are under $50,000. That gives an opportunity for new and smaller and minority contractors to participate in our program. We don't necessarily put together full sets of plans on these. These are typically sketches. We provide it to 4 contractors. They give us bids on it, and we do the work. So like I said, there's 400 projects that are outside of the 148 that I showed you earlier in the program. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that when I talk about doing business with MSD. Again, if all that 350 million wasn't enough, you know, there are occasions where some of those projects that I've listed have issues with getting easements. We have struggles with other utilities. So some of those projects could slip. In other words, we don't have them ready to go and we're not able to bid them. Well, we try to keep projects in the queue, and we call those contingency projects. We have a total of $125 million worth of projects are just kind of sitting there and waiting in case we have a project slip and we have this project ready to go. Again, it's our goal to maintain our program at that level and get this work done. These are all needed projects, so the ability to bring those forward is a good thing. We didn't always have this. We've only done this probably for the last 10 years. We've set up our capital program and got approval from our board to allow us to if funding is available within the program, to move that program forward or projects forward. Looking ahead, I'm going to take a quick drink here. Again, fiscal year 22, the estimated number of bids you're seeing there is 50. Those are the projects I've talked about. And then again, you add in the infrastructure work that we bid out, you could be looking at a number closer to 100. Next year is another good size year with 71 total projects. So you're going to see a lot of what we saw this year. Again, you're going to see a lot of relief jobs that we have to have done by 2023. And I think there's a good number of those pump station type projects that I talked about earlier. But as we move into fiscal year 24, 25, and 26, you see those number of bid opportunities drop. The reasoning for that is starting in fiscal year 24, 25, and 26, if you recall, I talked about some major projects that we're doing. That Lower Merrimack treatment plant is $107 million. We also have a design build project that we're starting in fiscal year 23 and 24. That's a $500 million project at one location, our Lemay and our Bissell wastewater treatment plants. So our program is going to have big dollars, as you can see, 435 and still 350 million. But a lot of our dollars are going to be tied up in those larger projects, so less of the sanitary relief. That also is a factor of us having to do a lot of the sanitary work and the removal of overflows in the first 10 years of our program. And by 2023, that's the 300 overflows down to the 30 overflows. We'll still be doing that type of work, but a lot of the work will be going more towards combined sewer tunnels. And then in 25 and 26, we've got another large $750 million tunnel under River Des Peres to capture combined sewer overflows. One of the things that could impact this number is again, if we are able to get some stormwater funding in the future, we'll be able to do that. So I want to keep watching my time here. I've got about 15 minutes, so I think we're in good shape. So I mentioned design build projects. We have 2 coming up in fiscal year 23. We typically only do 1 or 2 projects of design build on an annual basis. The two lower projects there, the El Toro wet weather storage facility, we have one design build wet weather storage facility going on right now in the Pagedale area. This one too is in the Pagedale area. And then we've been doing some design build on rehabilitation of our flood wall pumping stations. There's 30 of those stations up and down the Mississippi. They were built, in the early 60s, and we're going systematically rehabilitating those. We've identified about $35 million worth of work on those pump stations to keep them operating and protecting the downtown area. And they also are used for our wet weather, for our combined sewer overflows on the Mississippi River. But the big one is the top one there. We'll actually have RFQ and RFP for design builders going out in fiscal year 22 with the selection in 23. Again, that's a $500 million project. Replacing our incinerators, our multiple hearth incinerators at our wastewater plants. At both plants, we're replacing those with new technology, which will be much cleaner and meet our current regulatory requirements. So that project is in the works right now. So I'm going to change tunes a little bit, talk less about projects, and I'll slide through these pretty quick. There's a lot of verbiage on them, so you all have an opportunity to see the presentation. And I think we're going to provide this presentation to Jeremy and the folks at site, so they'd be able. And this presentation typically we'll post on our website as well, so you can get all the specific details, including my notes that we're going through. In order to work for MSD, you do have to be pre-qualified. If you're new to MSD, you can pre-qualify at any time. If you're a contractor for MSD, we have a set process. This usually starts in the summer. You pre-qualify, and then we pre-qualify in categories based on the type of work that you do. Not everybody can do work at treatment plants. Not everybody can do deep sewer construction. So we look at your resume and you request pre-qualification to certain categories. And then when we put out the bids, we state which categories are allowed to bid that work. Our small contractor program, and again, there's information about this out on the website. On all these programs, we do provide a website address. Again, this is a program, very successful program for growing contractors. Both a lot of our minority contractors start out or participate in this area, and then some of our smaller ones have graduated. This allows you to bid on be one of those 4 contractors that gets an opportunity to bid on some of that work that's under $50,000. We just increased that. It used to be 25, and we just increased that to 50,000 recently due to some Missouri legislation that will allow that bidding process. So that's really helped us because our costs have gone up on those. But like I said, we'll do over 400 projects on the range of, typically the cost of those are right around 10 grand. So again, it gets a lot of repairs done for us very efficiently, and it provides a spot for contractors to learn and grow and graduate into our program. One thing, you can always stay in this program if you want to start doing larger projects. You can stay in this program as long as you stay in projects under $500,000. If you start wanting to do larger, deeper sewer projects, projects at our plants, things like that, we would consider you graduated from this program to allow us to keep new projects or contractors moving into the program. Like I said, we try to plan our program out over the years. So those 50 scheduled bids that we have planned, we spread those out, and we provide what we call a board introduction schedule. In other words, we want to know when our projects are bid, when they're going to go to our board. One of the things at the end of our projects, when we get our bids, it takes another 2 months to get approval, to appropriate the dollars and get all the reviews on the bids done. So what this does is says when we're planning on going to our board, and then you can back off 2 months from that, and that's when you'll see the bid. But we give plenty of notice with regard to our bid, which is really our next slide. The district uses the plan room, the MSD plan room, to put out our bids. If you sign up for our plan room, it will give you email notices as to when a project's posted to the plan room, and by what you're pre-qualified for. You could also ask to see every time we put one out there, regardless of whether you're pre-qualified, and that's an opportunity for subcontractors, suppliers, things like that, to really know when they've got to go to work and get you guys, the contractors, their numbers for the work they're going to do. The district is a public entity in the state of Missouri. State of Missouri requires public entities provide prevailing wage on their contracts. The district also has this requirement in its charter to have a prevailing wage program. Ours is slightly different in the way we calculate our prevailing wage, but the job categories for the positions are exactly the way the state is. There's more details. We have a prevailing wage policy out there on how we do it. We look at our prevailing wage rates on an annual basis. We're in the process of doing that right now, and then we'll post those new prevailing wages at the start of our fiscal year. But the district has always done a good job at maintaining our prevailing wage. It's very important to our board and to our stakeholders that we maintain prevailing wage for the workers here in St. Louis area. The district does have a very robust diversity program. We have since I've known the district, we've had a diversity program, but in start of the turn of 2000, we started looking a little harder at our diversity and looking to really require diversity on our projects, which meets the area. In other words, what our goal is with our diversity program is we want the subcontracting community to have opportunities to work on our projects to the level of availability out there. And another part of our program that came into being around 2010 was the inclusion of workforce requirements. To me, very important to have the employers for the district and the workers working for our project to match what the St. Louis area has. So with regard to diversity on construction projects that the district has over $50,000, there's a 17% subcontracting for minority African-American businesses. That could be a subcontractor that perform work, or it could be suppliers as well. And there is a decrease if it's just strictly a supplier. They may not get full credit for that percentage, but it's a 17% requirement for district building projects that are done at our treatment plants. That increases to 30%, but allows other minorities to participate in that 30%. The district does a lot of work where we borrow money from the state of Missouri and do federal funding work. On those particular projects, the diversity requirements are a little adjusted. Typically, they're 10% minority and 10% women, so 20% subcontractor requirement for those two entities. On the workforce, the district requires a total of, for projects over 500,000, we require a 30% minority workforce and 7% women workforce, and that's boots on the ground project that we have there. I'm just trying to catch up here with my notes. I'm going to skip over these because I'm running a little short of time, but these on the slide presentation is our organizational chart for the MSD. I have 4 divisions. We have a construction management division that manages all of our program. That is run by Alan Mueller. He has 3 divisions. If you do work for MSD, I would recommend you go out to our website, take a look at these, because these are the names for the faces that come out and look at your jobs on an everyday basis. And before I get out of here and I run out of time here because I'm getting close, I do want to touch on this. The district does have a proposition on the ballot on April 4th. It's Proposition Y. The district funds its programs on a 4-year rolling program, and then every 4 years, then we borrow dollars to support that program. Again, it's to support all the work that I just talked about, but basically the wastewater program and our program to eliminate those 50 wastewater sewer overflows that I talked about. Our 4-year program is typically about $1.6 billion. Again, some major projects is that Lower Merrimack treatment plant and the Lower Merrimack proposal. But again, it's Proposition Y. We're asking for $500 million in additional bonds for the 4 years. Not like other bond issues. Most of you guys that live in municipalities or school districts are looking at bond issues that, hey, if the bond issue doesn't pass, the work just doesn't happen. The district isn't in that position, because if we don't pass the bond issue, that doesn't keep us from having to do the work. So we still have to do the work. So it's a matter of we're asking the folks to give us approval for bonds so we can allow to keep the rates lower. And this really kind of sets this up. The chart on the left, if the voters vote yes on April 4th, what you see there is the rate increases that they'll see on their sewer bill, the average sewer bill for a residential customer over the next 4 years. So if you're paying somewhere close to that right now, and you're an MSD customer paying $56.40, you'll see about a 3 to 4% increase each year. And at the end of the 4-year program, when we get ready to do another 4-year program, your rates will be about $62. We first started the program back in 2011. We're projecting where the rates were going to go. We were seeing double-digit rate increases through the life of the consent decree. We've done very good with the program. We've come in less with the program, and we've got very good financing. Anybody out there doing financing knows we're getting bond rates, and we got some funding through the state that, the basis points were under 1. So very good bonding. We've saved literally millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars on our financing of our program, which is reflected in those rates. But there are people out there that says, hey, we would rather you not bond to pay for this work and pay for it now, so our kids aren't paying for it later. Again, that exists. If folks vote no, the unfortunate thing is their rates will go up. And they'll go up higher than the 3% if they vote yes. So you're seeing in the teens, you'll see the rates go up and getting up to close to $86 a month by 2024. We've been very successful with our financing plans that we've done over the years. We've seen typically in the 70% yes vote range. We anticipate that again, but again, you never can tell with the voting public. I'm not going to go through these. I got 3 slides. The district also has some plan amendment charter changes. Every 10 years, we're supposed to do some charter changes. Our charter was adopted in '56. It was changed in 2000, and we didn't make any changes in 2010. And there are a few changes. There are 5 charter change amendments on there. They deal with the pay for our board members for their meetings. It includes removes some obsolete provisions. And so they're fairly minor as far as day-to-day impact of the district, but they're necessary in order to keep us running efficiently. So we appreciate your support on those. But at that time, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. Again, I didn't leave myself time. I didn't do that on purpose, but there was a lot of information I wanted to cover and provide to you all. So at this time, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and then see if there are any questions out there.
Rich has figured this out. He basically goes so long in his presentation that he doesn't have any time for question and answers. And Rich, again, thank you. Wonderful presentation. There's not any questions at this time right now, but if any of our members do have a question, email those to Leah. We can send those to Rich. for him to answer, and we'll get back to you on those. Again, site is supportive of Proposition Y. Hope it passes for you. And with that, Rich, we're going to go into a break. We got about a 5-minute break before we bring on Mike Feldman with the Army Corps of Engineers. Again, thank you, Rich, for your presentation and being supportive of the Expo.
Thanks, Jeremy, and good luck with the rest of the Expo. And thanks, everybody, for being here today.
Yeah. See you next year.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
In these challenging, uncertain, uncharted times, you stand strong. No matter the conditions you face, you get the job done. You are the backbone of our communities. You are the hardworking men and women that continue to build. We're honored to call you our customers and our employees. We thank you for the work you've done and the work you continue to do. Together, we'll get through this.
All right, welcome back. We have our second presentation today will be Michael Feldman. He's the chief of the project management branch of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. So welcome into the live stream. Michael, good morning to you.
Good morning, Jeremy. Thanks again for inviting me today. Looking forward to talking with the group about our mission.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mike, you know, at least I guess in 2020, there wasn't the amount of flooding that you experienced in some years before. So you have COVID to deal with, but at least the flooding, I think, was a little bit down from previous years.
It sure was. Yeah, boy, that you hit the nail on the head. It was nice to get a little bit of relief and spend some time recovering and getting ready, because we always know there's a chance for a flood coming around the corner. We've had several of them in the past few years, and yeah, having an off year to get ready has been helpful for us all.
Fantastic. Well, we'll go ahead and get started with your presentation.
Great, thank you. So good morning, everybody. As Jeremy indicated, my name is Mike Feldman. I'm with the Corps of Engineers here in the St. Louis district. I'm the chief of our project management branch. Really excited to be back. The Corps was here last year. It wasn't myself, but one of my colleagues that was able to present and tell you about our program and what's coming up in the coming year. We have several engagements that we do in this regard to partner with the construction industry, let everybody know what is going on in our district, and we're always looking forward to any opportunity to communicate and let everybody know the requirements and the opportunities coming around the corner, so that we've got that much more informed construction base to work with. So hopefully you all can see my screen there. I'm going to go ahead and go to the first slide and kind of give you an idea of what we'll be doing for the next 30 minutes or so. So I don't have a agenda slide as Rich did, but just kind of give you an idea what I'd like to do today. I'm going to give you kind of an overview of the St. Louis district's mission. There are several Corps of Engineers districts in the U.S. Each of us have kind of a geographic area of responsibility and some unique features in terms of what we do and don't do. So I'm going to overview that a little bit, talk about some of the priority missions we have in the St. Louis district, some of the key infrastructure that we have that we need to continue to maintain and improve, and some individual projects that we're focusing on as well. And then you'll see me transition about halfway through into basically a good list of construction and services type requirements that we have coming up over the fiscal year, and maybe a couple that are bleeding into the next fiscal year, to kind of give you an idea of what is coming around the corner, what you can keep an eye out for. Then I'll wrap up the presentation with all of our contact information, some of the leadership in the district, and ways to follow up and learn more about our mission, and also how to find out more about our requirements. So I'm going to spend a few minutes here on this slide, and particularly on the map on the right side. It will really kind of help you understand what we do and what we don't do in the St. Louis district in regard to Corps of Engineers activities. So I was reading some of the banners during the break about some information blurbs about the Corps mission, and noticed that very pointedly it shared that the Corps of Engineers supports both civil works and military missions in the U.S., and that is very true, and we're involved in both of those. What you'll find is the St. Louis district is focused exclusively on that civil works mission. So you see that boundary there, and you see that we are basically half in the eastern portion of the state of Missouri, and then half in the western portion of the state of Illinois. And those boundary lines, there isn't a straight line on that map. That is because these boundary lines are laid out by drainage basin, because they are civil works missions. Water resources projects really drive our missions. So obviously our boundaries lay out by the way water drains. What you will not see is military construction in the St. Louis district. If you were interested and wanted to learn more about Corps of Engineers military construction in the state of Illinois, our sister district in Louisville is going to be managing that work. For instance, work at Scott Air Force Base, for an example. In the state of Missouri, if you're interested in something at perhaps Fort Leonard Wood or the new National Geospatial Agency campus here in the St. Louis area, our sister district, Kansas City, is the military construction agent for military work in the state of Missouri. So I just wanted to get that on the table first. Now back to the St. Louis district and what we do. So those three words on the side are kind of good summaries of how you can understand what happens in our district. Again, a very much a water resources focused agency. Try to protect people from water. Obviously our flood risk mission is near and dear to our heart, and that's exactly where we're going there. Protect water from people. We have a very robust ecosystem restoration and environmental stewardship mission that helps with water quality and making sure water is not negatively impacted by the activities in our populous areas, and just making water useful overall. Back on that map, just wanted to highlight some of the infrastructure that we have in our area of responsibility. So there are 5 completed reservoir projects in our area. 2 of them in the state of Missouri, down in the southwest corner, Wapapello Lake, and in the upper left there, Mark Twain Lake, both of them in the state of Missouri. Those are both reservoirs with dam facilities. Full service recreation takes place at those facilities as well. And highlighting these because each of these facilities has several recurring requirements for services types contracts, and it helps you to understand kind of where we are, not just what we do, I think. On the Illinois side, Shelbyville Lake near Effingham, Illinois. I'll bet many of you are familiar with Carlisle Lake, just about 50 miles east of downtown St. Louis, and a little bit further south, Wren Lake, similar facilities there. Kind of cutting down the middle of our geography, the Mississippi River, we have 300 miles of the Mississippi River within our area responsibility. Starts just below Hannibal, Missouri here, where my cursor is, and we go all the way to where the Mississippi and the Ohio River confluence down at the lower end of our district. You'll see many of you perhaps are familiar with locks and dams on the rivers. There are 5 in our area. The Jerry Costello Lock and Dam on the Kaskaskia River, right at the mouth of the Kaskaskia with the Mississippi. And then locks 24 and 25, and Mel Price Lock and Dam in Alton, and the last one being Lock 27 in Granite City. Most notably, that Lock 27 is the last lock and dam facility on the Mississippi River. Costello is on the Kaskaskia. So downstream of Lock 27, the Mississippi River is all open river, and navigation and maintenance of a navigation channel happens through other methods. A lot of revetment and river training structure construction work and bridging work to maintain that channel. Again, just wanted to kind of give you that overview, let you understand where we do and don't work. You'll hear me talk a lot about flood risk management over the course of the presentation and requirements. Within this area, there are 92 different levee systems, about 750 miles worth of levee. And again, I'll talk to those on future slides. So again, a repeat of some of the information I shared. One thing I did want to note, just the kind of the size, personnel size of our district. There's about 650 employees in our St. Louis district. A handful of active military. We are led by Colonel Kevin Gollinghorst. He's our district commander. There are 4 or 5 different active military. The rest of our district workforce is civilian government employees. And we do a lot of work with several arms of the construction and services industry. A lot of what we do would not be possible without the help and the partnership with contractors. I'm going to focus in a little bit on our bigger and most impactful missions. Our navigation mission obviously is one of the most impactful in terms of its impact on the local and the national economy across the entire globe, actually. So there are 3 rivers. You saw me highlight the Kaskaskia and obviously the Mississippi River, but there is also active navigation on the Illinois River. We have 80 miles of navigation channel in our St. Louis district boundary on the Illinois River as well. That all adds to about 400 miles of navigation channel that needs to be maintained and monitored and surveyed on a regular basis. Of course, we mentioned the 5 locks and dams. The newest of those 5 being the Mel Price Lock and Dam, which was built in the 80s. Ironically, when I started working with the Corps of Engineers, I started that construction project. Aside from that facility, though, the rest of those other locks and dams have been in place for several decades. 24, 25 were constructed in the 30s. So a lot of maintenance and rehabilitation has happened on those facilities, and definitely a need for continued attention and some expansion in those. And I'll touch some of that in the future of these slide decks as well. I promised you I'd talk about our flood risk mission. This is the one place to spend just a little bit of time there. I threw out some stats earlier. I'll repeat them. So first of all, with 5 core lakes, 4 of those 5 reservoirs were constructed for flood risk purposes. They certainly support recreation. They support water supply and a few other missions, but their primary purpose is to attenuate water flood flows before they enter the Mississippi River, and they have a tremendous impact on the extent of flooding when there is a high water and a high rain event in the St. Louis area. Over and above that, you heard me mention over 750 miles of levees. About I'll say half to 2/3 of those levees were federally constructed. The remainder were privately constructed. All of them, but the Chain of Rocks levee, are privately owned, operated, and maintained. Our mission is to construct, and then we will generally turn over the ownership of those levee systems to a local entity, a levee district. So you won't see the federal employees involved in the management of those systems, aside from the Chain of Rocks levee. However, during a flood event, we have teams that are supporting those levee districts very closely with information and assisting with flood fighting activities. And most importantly, after flood events, when we get into a recovery situation, we have the federal authority to implement construction projects to repair damages to those levees. And as Jeremy was highlighting when we started this discussion, we've had a series of flood events. 2019 was a tremendous one, and we had a significant amount of flood recovery work that we're finally starting to get to the end of. Looking forward to perhaps a downtime for our flood recovery mission, but we'll always see, right? Some additional mission coverage that will help you understand what we do and how you can engage with us. We do have a hydropower plant That is at the Mark Twain Lake, the Clarence Cannon Dam and Power Plant, which was completed in the 80s as well. That is, again, federally constructed, but operated by the Southwest Power Administration. But we do have some partnering with them in terms of occasional rehabilitation and repair work. And of course, all of those reservoirs have some water supply mission where they will provide water supply services to the local communities in and around them. And again, maybe this is it is for some the number one familiarity with the Corps of Engineers is recreation. All of those lake facilities have campgrounds, beaches, day use facilities, boat ramps, a lot of recreation opportunities on all of those Corps of Engineers facilities. And all those recreation facilities generate a need for support services as well. And I'll be able to highlight some of those requirements coming up here shortly. This is I believe the last slide to talk about some of our missions. Wanted to highlight the ecosystem restoration mission. That's another very impactful mission that generates a lot of construction in the St. Louis district. A key word that if you've worked with us before or if you start to engage with us in the future, a key word is the UMRR program, Upper Mississippi River Restoration Program. It's a program that is funded annually. It's operated by 3 Corps of Engineers districts, St. Paul, Rock Island, both of them to the north of us, and St. Louis. And there are always 1 to 3 projects that are in the construction phase in the St. Louis district within that UMRR program. A lot of wetland restoration work, small pump construction, ditching projects, some small dredging projects, etc. The ecosystem restoration mission, like I said, generates quite a bit of work in the district. I'll highlight a couple when we go through requirements. But if you don't see something that works for you this year, you can rest assured there will be several continued projects like that in the future as well. Outside of our missions, there's also some special expertise that our district has to offer. Some of it is pretty independent to the district employees. Other portions of it really focus on a lot of contract work. That perhaps you noticed on my very first slide, there were a picture of a couple of guys that were just descending the face of a Tanner Gate doing some inspection work. That is an official program we have. We have structural engineers that work across the country doing rope inspection of hydraulic steel structures. A lot of gate inspections and also some bridge inspections as well. A very unique pocket of expertise. A few other districts in the Corps of Engineers do some similar work, and always something I'm very proud of that team and always want to take a moment to highlight. Areas where we do have a lot of contractor support requirements. I'm going to go over here to the right to our photogrammetric mapping center of expertise. So I have a team in the St. Louis district that is the center of expertise for the entire U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for photogrammetric mapping. So they have the capability to work with other Corps districts, other federal, state, and local entities to have mapping services produced for them. They do all of that work through contracts with, obviously, with contractors that have that capability, airplane flight capability, along with the survey systems attached to them. There is always a $200 million contract capability in place for that team to do their job. So you can see we have about a 5-year contract capacity that we establish. So every 3 to 4 years, we start working on the next round of those contracts. And again, this is a mission that could not be executed without that technical expertise of the contract community there. So if this is an area you have some capability or interest and you haven't engaged with us before, please keep an eye out for that requirement when it does get re-advertised in the future. I'm going to go over to the left here now to our fuse wrap mission. Thank goodness for me, it's also spelled out, that long acronym. I always stumble on it. Formerly Utilized Sites Remedial Action Program. That's in the St. Louis area. It is the HTRW remediation of radioactive waste from the original atomic bomb production days in the World War II timeframe. That is a mission that exists in several areas across the country. The St. Louis district it does have a very robust mission, though. We've been working on that program for the Department of Energy since 1998. So quite a long-standing history of activity there, and we still have quite a bit of work left to go. And again, this is a mission that has a lot of contractor support in terms of the environmental services, the testing lab operation, and the actual remediation and shipping of the waste material as well. So I'm going to turn the corner now, and what you'll find I'm going to walk through is basically just a list of the requirements that we have coming up this fiscal year. We've tried to sort them with some some logical groupings. A few of them may jump out and may not fit others, but I'll try to touch them all at some level and kind of give you an idea of what it is and where you can learn more about it. So this first item here is a drilling services contract, basic geotechnical exploration contract. This is a perennial requirement. We have always had the need for one or two of these contracts, and the capacity has been reached, and we're in the process of reestablishing that contract, and we're looking for that to be advertised for proposals here in the coming weeks or month or so. Going to jump down to the next item. This second item here, the St. Louis MSD manhole and riser rehab, is one of the last of our 2019 flood recovery projects. It has taken us a while to work through the design and coordination with the City of St. Louis and Metropolitan Sewer District, who own and operate the St. Louis flood control system that was built in the 50s and 60s. So this is a repair project for the portion of that system that was damaged during the 2019 flood. If you were involved and listening into Rich Ungerfirth when he was talking about the MSD program, he mentioned that the MSD and the Corps of Engineers have partnered on some work, which I was happy to have him tee that up for me. I was going to mention the same thing. So this Harlem-Baden project is one of those projects. We have a small authority called Environmental Infrastructure that allows us to work with communities on some sewer rehabilitation work. Our funding stream is not robust, but when we do get some funding, we're always excited to get to partner with MSD and other communities across the St. Louis area. So this is one of those projects. It's an ongoing multi-phased effort. I think you saw Rich describe kind of how MSD is approaching that work, and we plug in with a few contracts. This is the latest one that will be going in that regard. I'm going to pause there. While not listed here, I did want to highlight that after the production of this slide deck, we were informed that we're going to be able to do the same thing with the City of Belleville. We received some funding for a project over there, so you can also be on the lookout in the future for a potential construction contract for some similar sewer rehabilitation work in the City of Belleville in the not too distant future. This last item, the East St. Louis relief wells, is I'm going to call that the tip of the iceberg in terms of a very large program. The Metro East levees, if you're familiar with the area, I'll try to be fast to orient you. There are a series of urban design levees on the east side of St. Louis. On the east side of St. Louis, starting in Alton and working down to Cahokia. There are 4 levee systems: the Wood River Levee District, the East St. Louis Levee District, the federally owned Chain of Rocks Levee, and the Prairie du Pont Levee District. Those 4 levee systems have a tremendous level of protection. They were federally constructed, and except for Chain of Rocks, all owned and operated privately by the municipalities on the east side. We have some significant work to do, some under seepage remediation to take care of foundation challenges with some of that levee infrastructure, constructing relief wells, some deep slurry trench cutoff walls, and some seepage berms to help those levees perform as they were originally intended when they were designed and constructed in the 50s and 60s. So this East St. Louis project is one of many projects in that regard. It's a substantial relief well construction project, 105 wells that we are looking to advertise later this fiscal year. And I'm going to turn the corner to the next slide. This is another collection of requirements within that Metro East group of projects. I've got a map that will follow this, so I won't spend a whole lot of time on this actual slide, but these are 4 different construction projects that we are planning to advertise at some time over the course of the fiscal year for additional relief well construction and some modification and addition of pump stations to handle some of the flows from those relief wells when they do start flowing to attenuate some of the underseepage issues in those areas. I'm going to turn to the slide that has a map. So I would love to have had maps for all of the work, and maybe that'll be an improvement that we'll take for future presentations here with your group. But I did want to highlight the work in Wood River because it is really focused and a heavy amount of work planned for this year. So to orient you, here's the Mississippi River, here is the Missouri River confluence, and up here is the Mel Price Lock and Dam in Alton. So the Clark Bridge into Alton will be just off the screen to the left. So as you travel downstream on the river, you'll get to the area where you have Roxana, Wood River, and Hartford, a lot of refinery infrastructure in that area, and also several small communities that are all protected by this lower Wood River levee that was constructed back in the 50s, 60s. So you can see by the indication of the dots where we are doing some modifications to pump stations, constructing 3 new pump stations on the lower end, and a series of relief well installation projects all along that levee. So look for those. Always excited to get some good competition and some great contractors doing that work with us. Moving on to some more of the general work that doesn't have any real good category to fit it within. That Chain of Rocks item is a pump station replacement. That's part of our flood recovery mission. That's a pump that was damaged in the 2019 flood, so we will be replacing that. The second item, again, if you recall my first slide where I was talking to the Mississippi River and managing the navigation channel, we have a robust mission for revetment work, construction of river training structures such as dikes, weirs, chevrons, several types of structures like that, all river-based heavy construction work. So this is a contract, a multi-year contract that we will be moving out with later this fiscal year to be able to do that work for the next 3 years. Moving down the line, Bois Brule is a levee district in Perryville, Missouri area. This is the last project. We are waiting on some access to some real estate by the sponsor, and then we'll be advertising that restoration of the levee height and also some seepage berm construction contract. The last 2 items are the beginning of a pretty significant investment in the Mel Price Lock and Dam, doing some work to modify the lift gates on the 1,200-foot lock at that facility. There will end up being 3 construction contracts, but the first 2 of them will be awarded later this fiscal year. One is a supply contract to fabricate and deliver new lift gates for that lock facility, and the other one is to do some modifications to the lock itself to be able to accommodate that new lift gate that has some design changes to it that will be installed. And again, the third contract in the distant future will be the installation of those gates into the newly modified area. This, I believe, is the final slide with requirements. You'll see it's kind of a collection of requirements right now. That first item is, you can see by the dollar value, pretty significant in size. So one of the missions that we do have in the district is to work with the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA Region 5, on the Illinois side of the river. We are working basically as their construction agent, doing zinc remediation work at several sites in the Illinois area. So we have a remediation contract in place. However, there is a requirement for some consulting services contracts to do site monitoring at those sites, as well as several other sites within the St. Louis district. So we have a requirement coming out later on this fiscal year to reestablish that contract. It's another one that we went through the capacity pretty quickly. A very robust mission, and looking forward to getting that one back in on contract. And then you'll recognize the title, the site locations for several of these other contracts. These are some of the support contracts that support those lake facilities that I was talking to earlier. We do have a few more. You'll see those Wood River contracts kind of repeated here, but I did want to, again, focus in on them. On this page, I wanted to highlight this demolition of the old interpretive center. This is work that we're doing for the Department of Energy. The Department of Energy owns and operates the Weldon Springs site on Highway 94. If you're familiar with the area, it's near the high school, not Fort Zumwalt. Oh goodness, I'm struggling to remember the name of the high school, but it's just on Highway 94, just south of 64. We recently constructed a new interpretive facility at that location for the Department of Energy, and we've got a follow-on contract here to demolish the old interpretive center there. This collection below here, they are all associated with this project called NESP, Navigation and Ecosystem Sustainability Program. Very large program that was authorized a little over a decade ago, but has yet to be funded for construction. This is a regional project, again, with our sister districts up the river to expand the capability at 7 lock and dam sites and also several ecosystem restoration projects. We've done some initial planning and have some design work ready. We cannot schedule the award of these contracts because we need the construction funding to come before we can start to talk to the construction industry about dates, but we do want to get you all aware and ready for that requirement, because when we do, if and when we receive those construction funding, it'll be a pretty robust program that'll begin to move forward. I went through those pretty quickly, but that's our the requirements we have. These last few slides are going to focus on contacts and how to reach out and learn more about us. First of all, our small business program. We have a small business officer, Ashanti Griffin. She's new to our district and learning the mission quickly, and is a great ambassador for small businesses to the district. So, if you either are a small business or want to mentor, protege, or somehow work with small business, highly encourage you to reach out to Ms. Griffin. Her contact information is there. She can help you connect with us on requirements and also with other businesses. This is some of the other industry days that have taken place in the recent past and moving forward as well. We did our own SAME sponsored industry day just a couple of weeks ago. And you've got some links to some information. If you go to our website, you'll see the information that was shared during that industry day. But there are others coming around the corner, including in mid-April, a joint St. Louis and Scott Field post of SAME Industry Day that always takes place and is always well attended as well. And then some additional industry days with some of our sister districts south of us. This is not the all-inclusive list, but certainly some near-term opportunities to engage further with us. Lastly, I've got a couple last slides here. This is contact information and just kind of the leadership for the district. Colonel Kevin Gollinghorst, our district commander, my boss, Susan Wilson, the Deputy for Planning Programs and Project Management. Want to direct your attention, most importantly, though, down here to two, again, great ambassadors. Trish Voss, the Chief of our Contracting Division, with her contact information there, is the best source for you if you have questions about how to do work with the district or individual requirements. You can reach out to Trish, and she and her staff will help connect you in the right direction. And again, of course, the same goes for Ashanti Griffin from the Small Business Programs side. And one last slide with all of our social media contacts, but I'm, being the old school guy, want to direct you to our website. That's our district website address. If you choose to go there, you'll see a tab at the top that says Business with Us. And if you click that, you're going to have a portal to our contracting division site. That contracting division site will tell you everything you need to know about access to Beta SAM, which is the government-wide database for advertising our requirements. Future requirements that we have, the list that I showed you today will be available on that contracting website, and just some basic contact information as well. If you don't have access to these slides, if you find our website, that is an excellent portal for contractors to reach in and connect with somebody in the district to learn more and get their questions answered. And with that, that is the end of my presentation. I hope I didn't take too much of your time. And Jeremy, I'll turn it over for questions and thoughts.
Excellent presentation, Mike. Gave some great opportunities for our contractors to get into some of the work there at the core. So thank you for sharing. There are no questions for you to answer, so you escaped today with no questions. And if somebody does have a question, again, they can reach out to Leah at sidestl.org, and we will send you that question, Mike. And if you can reply back to them, that'd be fantastic. So again, thank you, Mike, for your presentation, and hopefully we'll see you next year when we're all in person at the convention center.
Absolutely. Look forward to it. And thanks again for the opportunity today. Always happy to engage with you.
All right. Well, we went a little bit long today. Great presentations, but I want to wrap up with letting our members know that we do have our first in-person networking event on May 12th at Top Golf. The event's going to be from 4:30 to 6:30. It's $21 per person, and it's limited to the first 100 registrants. So we hope you can register for the event quickly, and we're looking forward to seeing everyone there. This year's site is celebrating our 55th anniversary, so we hope to see everyone there, get everyone together, and try to bring back some normalization to our organization. This presentation wouldn't be possible without our sponsors. So thank you to our presenting sponsor, Fabit Cat. Also, thank you to all of our expo sponsors. That would include Advanced Drainage Systems, ASP Enterprises, Bus and Quarries, Central Power Systems and Services, CMW Equipment, Energy Petroleum and Marketing, Fixed Supply Service, KJ Undersall Construction, MB West Contracting, Pace Construction Company, Pat Kelly Equipment Company, Purple Wave Auction, Roland Machinery Company, Rush Truck Centers of Missouri, Thomas Industrial Coatings, Tramar Contracting, 2 Alpha Contracting, and United Rentals. And then up for tomorrow, we've got a great list of, we've got two speakers, but excellent presentations. We have an economic forecast from Kevin Cleason with the Federal Reserve Bank. Looking forward to that presentation. And then also Pat Kelly will come in from the Municipal League of Metropolitan St. Louis, and he will talk about how COVID has impacted some of those infrastructure costs and infrastructure spending from local municipalities. So looking forward to tomorrow's presentations, and we're looking forward to having everybody with us. Again, you can find our expos listed on our website, sidestl.org. You can take a picture of the QR code, and it'll take you right to the website page. And again, we thank you for attending today. This was, like I said, just a little bit lengthier presentation, but we squeezed it in. We want to be mindful of everyone's time, and we look forward to seeing everyone tomorrow at a continuation for Day 4 of SITE's 2021 Investment Infrastructure Expo. Thank you again, and have a great day.